signed with a stylist. Yeah, blue faces blowing up.
All right, guys, I'm here with Pete Reyes, a real estate investor who specializes in land flipping, has a podcast with his wife called Turning Profit, great listen to, and also has a pretty cool website called Land Conquest that is really gamified. It really looks really awesome, so you guys should check that out. Pete, thanks for hopping on.
Thanks for having me, Jordan. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So just to kick it off, what is your story? I know that now you focus on land as an investor. What got you into land and how did you start in the real estate world?
Yeah, it's crazy. I never would have projected that I would become this land expert and a land focused investor, but it just worked out that way. I started like a lot of other people with single family homes, bought our first home with an FHA loan back in the year 2000 in Southern California here in San Diego for like $200,000 and 3.5% down. So we got in really cheap. And then we ended up doing some renovations to the home, just cosmetic stuff, fixing it up, made about $50,000 when we sold that property a couple years later. And I thought I was a real estate mogul at that point by doing that. But it did give us the confidence to step it up a little bit. I stepped it up into a bigger home, did the same thing to it. That one went just as well. Then we started as a business way back then, 2003 to 2008-ish. And we did really well with that. I had gotten my broker's license at the same time here in California because I was getting all my deals on the MLS. I was just scouring the MLS daily and writing as many offers as I can. Some would stick, some wouldn't. But I got my license so I could write my own offers and I could show myself the properties and all that kind of stuff. But then when the market crashed, which was like 2008-ish, there was an opportunity to list all these properties for the banks. So I just submitted my name to all these different banks that were looking for REO listing brokers for all their properties. And that was the niche that I focused on for 2-3 years as we were working through all the foreclosure inventory and all that kind of stuff. So I was thankful at that time because a lot of investors were really struggling. But luckily I was able to transition into that, and that worked out pretty well. So I did that, and that wasn't the best of times just because there's a lot of emotions and there's a lot of other baggage that goes along with that business. And I wasn't investing myself at that point because the market crash kind of scared me off from investing. That's the time I should have been buying up properties in hindsight, obviously. But at the time, I was just spooked out by it. But I was helping other investors find deals as well. I got a lot of good investor contacts from their large companies, and they were buying as many properties as they could get their hands on. So I was doing a lot of finding just deals for them as well. And that was pretty good business for a while. Got out of real estate altogether for a number of years, working on a business with my wife, blogging and travel blogging training business that we had started up. And that was really cool business. And it was really successful. We had a great time with that, but I had this itch to get back into real estate investing. Just didn't know which niche to go for. I was a little apprehensive to get back into flipping homes because I knew what was involved in that. It's a great business, but there's a lot of moving pieces to it, a lot of unknowns in the process. So just researching, looking at different things, different niches to get involved with. And I stumbled on some people talking about land flipping, and it immediately caught my attention because people were posting, hey, I bought this property for $10,000 and I sold it for $30,000 and I held it for 60 days. So I was like, wow, that sounds really cool. Triple your money in 60 days. And those kind of numbers seemed reasonable. Obviously you can't get financing for those type of properties or hard money for those type of properties, but I thought it was doable business model. And I felt like it aligned well with my skills because I love buying and selling stuff. And I feel like I'm good at identifying value, maybe when other people don't see it. So I just bought a training program on that, and then I went all in on it. And this was at the end of 2020. In March of 2021, we resold our first land flip property. And that first year ended up doing about 1.2 million and some change in revenue, and wow. 32 flips that we did. And about 40% a little less than 50% gross profit that first year. So we were really profitable. 2022 ended up doing about 3.5 million in revenue and just about 40% gross profit last year. And then 2023, we're already over 4 million, hopefully end up the year at about 10 million. So we're, just trying to scale it as much as we can.
That's amazing. So when you first identified land, what program did you jump into that you're like, this is the one? Or did you jump around in mentorships and things like that? Or was there one
Yeah,
that,
no, just a course that I bought. It was called Land Academy, and it taught me all the fundamentals of the business model, really. Then I put my own spin on what was taught within there and figured out a number of the missing pieces that I was trying to figure out in my own head, but it got me going and it did teach me kind of the fundamental business model of it. And then I just took it from there and ran with it. Started building out a team piece by piece, and that really helped as well.
yeah, so awesome. What does it look like today as far as the team, as far as your business structure? Where do you market? How do you find these deals?
Yeah, okay, so my team that's grown quite a bit over time here. We just recently added a few more people to our team. I think now we're up to 12 people on the team that are full time all over the world. We're all remote, but I've got some people overseas, some people here domestically. And we just, what's happened is that I started out kind of one piece at a time, using an assistant to take off some of those administrative tasks that I didn't like doing or that were time consuming. So I would teach my assistant how to do those types of things, take those off my plate. And then I would just take the next big issue off my plate as we went. And then I hired an acquisition manager to talk to all the sellers and do all that kind of stuff, because that's really time consuming, and getting on the phone at all kinds of random times is very disruptive to try to get things done. And then I added lots of other pieces, and we just, like I said, just added a few more. And now I have a COO that joined our team that's going to be running a lot of the day-to-day type operations. And I'll still be making the calls on all the properties that we're buying and a lot of those big decisions, but trying to get out as much of in the weeds type stuff when I've got great team members that can do all that stuff for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's important, right? To build out a team so you can get out of their way and let them sail.
Yeah, I just steer the ship in the direction I want to go and as fast as I want to go, and then they pick up the pieces.
Awesome. What has been your biggest win? And that could be your biggest deal size, or just maybe the biggest relationship that you've made throughout the journey.
Yeah, I've met a lot of, especially this year, 2023 here, because I've just started like getting myself out there and publishing a lot of content about like my income each month and all that kind of stuff. So it's really been great to get a lot of connections with a lot of people that have come from that. I don't know if I could single any one relationship out, but it's really been game changing. We started a podcast this year as well, which really helped out with that. And so it's been really cool. And our community, our land flipping community. So that's been a lot of fun. As far as the biggest win, as far as a deal goes, we've had a number of really good ones that we've made right around 100,000 per deal. Some really interesting ones, or maybe buy a property for 70,000, sell it for 170. Like those type of things are realistic in this business. I'm not saying it happens all the time, right, but you do get those here and there, which are fun.
And so where's your main market? What would your main market be? Or is it just all over?
All over the US. I do a lot on the East Coast, anywhere from New York down to Florida, but I'm trying to expand into as many markets as we can. It's just where I've started. We generate all our business in all of our leads and everything with direct mail. At least that's what we do it in our business. We send out actual offer letters to people, and then they respond, and then we see if we can put together that deal as written, or if we have to come in price a little bit to put the deal together, or maybe we look at the property and it's not quite what we thought it was. Those types of things happen. And then what happens is we test certain areas. Some areas seems like we get a little bit of a foothold in. We get some great people, some great broker contacts and things like that, and they really start picking up momentum. And then we just try to do as many deals as we can in those particular areas.
Okay. What do you think the biggest difference is between the acquisitions and land flipping versus when you're flipping houses, and what's the difference like?
Yeah, well, see, back then I was just doing everything on the MLS, so that was completely different. And I think it is possible to get deals on the MLS, especially if you're looking at things a certain way with land. But the off-market thing is definitely a big difference from what we were doing with the on-market stuff. It's just you're reaching out to property owners directly, and there's no agent involved on the purchase side there or anything like that. But it's pretty easy, really. Land is not There's not a lot of complications to it. You don't have tenants to deal with or any of those type of variables that sometimes come into play when you're buying land flip, when you're buying home flips.
Okay. What's been on the flip side of the wins? What's been the biggest loss, or maybe not a loss, right? Some folks like to say their learning lesson. So
Yeah.
that could go back to when you were flipping, or any time in between those and where you are now.
Yeah. As far as my career goes, when I look back on what I've done in real estate, my biggest regret, loss, I guess you could say, would be the fact that I wasn't buying and accumulating properties when the market crashed before. It's so obvious now. And I even knew it at the time, honestly. I really did know that, hey, that these prices are not going to get any lower. I believe in Southern California long term. I know it's going to go up. But the thing is, the funds weren't out there. Like it was a really crazy time. The hard money lenders, that market wasn't as developed then. And there just wasn't a lot of people were holding on to the cash that they had, if they had cash, and they weren't lending it out to people. Certainly in a lot of cases, even the big banks, they were really struggling. They weren't doing loans as readily as before because they were in the middle of getting burned right then. So everything just locked up. It was tough. But I should have found a way to accumulate properties and then instead of just saying, it's not the right time.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense too. What's the biggest challenge that you guys are facing in the business right now?
Scaling is, on the surface, it sounds easy. Just send out more mail, send out more offers to people, get more deals locked up. But there's really a lot that goes on behind the scenes in order to manage that process. First of all, it's building out a team, kind of getting more specialized with all the roles of the team members as we go, and making sure everything's dialed in, because as you start getting a lot of deals locked up, there's a lot of complexities, a lot of moving pieces. And before I was able to really stay on top of that, just knowing what's going on with all the deals that we've got, I was like intimately involved. I really knew what was going on. So it was easy for me to push all these pieces forward. But now we've got so many, I forget what the property even is. It's just a name on the spreadsheet for me. And so you have to really get your processes dialed down. Like you got to build a foundation. You got to have some sort of software solution that's really at the core of your foundation of your business, which will allow you to scale.
What are some of those tools that are essential in your guys' business that you guys are operating on today?
The big one that we've got is our business system. It's built on the high level platform. But what we did was we took that platform, which is essentially, it's like Salesforce or any sort of platform like that. It's out of the box. It doesn't do anything, but we've built all these customizations and everything, processes, automations, everything tailored to this exact business. And we've put it on top of there. And then we run our whole business machine through there. So it would be invaluable for us if we didn't have that, this business would be really difficult for us. So that's a big piece of things. Other kind of tools that we use are evaluating properties, tools to evaluate properties, because I'm in Southern California. People on my team are all over the place, all over the world. And we're able to look at a property wherever it comes up and get a good idea of what that property is, 90% of what that property is, without stepping out there or anything like that. So we use one called Land ID, which is that's the first thing we do. It's like a mapping software. We can pull up all the property lines. We can pull up the contours. We can pull up wetlands and flood zones and all these kind of things that we look at. So it really is helpful so those two things would be really hard to do the business without it.
Yeah, I think it's important to make sure you have your processes and, like you said, the foundation dialed in. And you talked about scaling and the issues that can come along with that, but it's part of the growth pattern. That's where you're at. You're in the middle of that now. What do you see as the future of your business?
Yeah, honestly, I don't really want to stop until we're like the biggest independent land buyer in the United States. So I know that's a big, huge goal, but at least I don't know of any people or entities that are out there that are doing this on a really huge scale. And I don't see why we couldn't lead the pack on that.
No, that makes sense. So and to piggyback off that, what's the average deal size? Are you looking at infill lots? Are you looking at acreage? Are you looking at development? What's your area of expertise, if that makes sense?
Yeah, most of the stuff that we do when we send out our marketing is for rural land. So 5 to 10 acres plus outside, generally out 1 to 2 hours outside of a major metropolitan area, which is a lot of areas in the United States. So that's our thing. We do some infill lots here and there, but that's not our primary focus. So
Okay.
just the rural vacant land is where it's at for us.
Okay. What's the biggest or greatest piece of advice that you got from maybe a mentor or somebody that you hold in high esteem?
Focus, and I don't even know who I heard this from, but I used to have the kind of shiny object syndrome type thing where I get a good new idea every week and I go down this path of following that idea and then I find another new idea and everything like that. But the true results in business come when you're really laser focused on one big result and not getting sidetracked into other businesses and things like that. Like you've got to be, and it's hard for entrepreneur type people because they're always thinking of ideas. They're always thinking of better ways to do things and everything. But I think the focus has to remain on, you can always be creative and thinking of better ways to do things, but it needs to be within your business. So like that business needs to be like laser focused and going in that direction. And focus is really the key for me, and consistency. So
Nice. Focus and consistency. I like it. Along the same vein, what's a phrase or a mantra or something that you live your life by? And it could be related to business, but it could be personal as well.
Oh, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. That's a good one. Phrase or mantra that I live by. I might have to come back to that. I don't know. Can't think of anything off the top of my head. I guess there's nothing.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay. So if you don't have a phrase or mantra, that's okay. Is there anything that you're reading right now or a book recommendation or listening to that from a development standpoint, business standpoint that you would say is a good listen to or read?
Yeah, I love the content from the Hermosis, Alex and Layla Hermosi. They've really good business content. I feel like it speaks to where I'm at, like at the level I'm at and where I want to go. A lot of different things that I haven't thought of or really occurred to me, and that content really resonates with me.
Yeah. So did you get there? I actually just got all their $100 million leads books. They just came in.
Yes. Yeah, really good stuff. Yeah, really
Yeah.
good stuff. Yeah, I was thinking about ways to implement that in my own business. I mean, this is all about what we do with our direct mail is cold outreach. It's a form of cold outreach.
Right.
But there's other forms of cold outreach and there's other ways that we can generate deals. So I need to put some more effort into kind of figuring out some of those other paths that we can use to generate deals aside from just the direct mail.
Yeah. Now on those, are you wholesaling all of them? Are you guys keeping anything? What are you taking that money and
we
buying
close the purchase?
family? Okay.
Yeah, we close the purchase. We buy it. We go through an attorney title escrow company, depending on the state. And then we generally list it with a real estate broker, local land broker right away. Sometimes we'll do some value add stuff, and the value add stuff can be generally pretty simple. Clearing some brush, clearing some paths onto the property, getting a perk test, getting a survey done, depending on what the needs are for that particular property and how we think we can maximize things. But that's about the extent generally on our value add. Now, sometimes we'll do some lot splits as well. So if we buy a big property, 100 acres, we might split it up into 5 20-acre properties and then resell those individually, because then you get a higher price per acre when you do something like that. Yeah. But it depends on the state, depends how easy that process is, how quick it is. There's a lot of things that can go into that. So
any of those you hold in long term, or you just
not by choice? I've got a couple that have been in my inventory too long, but that's just because we started out at too high of a price initially, and then so ultimately the market will tell you what the property's worth. And if it's not selling at a particular price and you've got it exposed to the market and it's not selling, the price is too high.
Yeah. Obviously it's a kind of a higher cash flow business and things of that nature, but what other things are you looking at investing outside? That could be outside of real estate or single family homes or multifamily. What else do you invest in?
We bought a motel a couple of years ago, and I don't know if that was our best purchase, just because it's been a difficult process for us to find people to work on it and do the renovations that we needed to in that particular area where we bought it. And then we bought some multifamily type stuff as well. And that's the constant game. This business is great it's all short term. There's no tax benefits in real estate. If you hold it long term, obviously you can get some tax benefits, but These are all short-term things. So it's just like any other business. It's cash in, cash out, and it's short-term holds. So there's no specific tax advantages for flipping land. So what you have to do, the thing is, then you've got to buy long-term holds that you can use to claim the accelerated depreciation to offset your active income. So yeah, we're always looking at that type of stuff, and we're going to have to buy some more properties this year. And yeah, there's other options too of other things that you can buy to take advantage of that accelerated depreciation as well. But we're probably going to just stick to other forms of real estate, to buy a strip mall or something like that, probably.
Okay. It's a good problem to have.
Yeah, it's a good problem. I hate they even call it a problem.
Yeah, exactly. Outside of real estate and the day-to-day grind, what other things are you interested in and what keeps you busy?
Work out every day, and not every day, 5 days a week. Go for a walk every day with my wife. And we've got a family that I'm super involved with. I've got 3 girls, and we just try to spend a lot of time together, and nothing crazy. We're not doing anything. We used to do a lot of traveling. Then when COVID hit, we put a halt on all the travels, and then just haven't been traveling as much, but we do want to get back to that. Not as for a number of 5 years straight, we were traveling like 150 days out of the year, like a lot.
That's wild.
Which is great. And we went on some amazing trips and amazing experiences, but it really wears you down too. It's hard to get in that groove of life. It's hard to really work on your business and stuff like that. So there's a happy medium with a lot of things. I think we've talked like we got to cap our trips at 7 to 10 days max at a time. Like last summer, we took a trip that was 30 days long. Just a big road trip on the East Coast and a lot of driving around and everything. It was a great trip, but 30 days is too long. And then the year before that, we did a cross country road trip as well, and that was 30 days. And it's just, those are great, but I think maybe just more frequent but shorter trips are probably the way to go.
Yeah, it's like day 3 for me. I'm like, I got to get back and just
it's tough.
And there's just something about being in your home or your office that's different than being on the road, I feel. And I'm always like, I could get the same amount of work done, but it's if I'm not in the seat or in the saddle, I feel like I didn't for whatever reason.
You got to figure out your system all over again. When you're at home, you got your system. You don't have to think about things. You just do it and you're good. But it's getting set up in all these different locations. It's even stuff like getting the coffee made and doing breakfast. Like all this stuff is all different.
Yeah, for sure. So if somebody wants to reach out to you, do a deal with you, send you a deal, try and partner with you, how can they get a hold of you?
All right. If you got them in, I'll let you know about all the different places you can find me.
Of course.
First of all, for the land flipping side of things, we've built a community called Land Conquest. So you mentioned the website there. So if you just go to landconquest.com, there's a bunch of orange buttons on the site there, and just press one of those, and then it'll lead you exactly right to our land flipping community. It's free to join. I've got an extensive training program which tells you A to Z exactly our business model, how we buy and flip land, and it's everything. We've got our letter that we send out. We've got how we create our list, everything you need to know about the whole process. So that's free to all community members in there. This is a type of training that would be thousands of dollars from other providers, but we give it away for free. And the reason we give it away for free is that I've got another program which we just launched, which is called Partner with Pete, and you can find that at partnerwithpete.com. And that's a partnership program as it sounds, but what the deal is, the problem with doing these land flips is you either have to have the cash to buy these properties or have a rich uncle or something like that's willing to back you. And generally those are 2 big roadblocks for a lot of people. So what we did is we came up with the program where we will actually use our money to purchase these properties. So investors submit their deals, like other land investors that hopefully we're training through our program. They find these deals, they'll submit it at partnerwithpete.com. And if it looks like a deal, then I say, hey, we'll fund this deal. And what happens then is that we'll plug it into all of our team's processes and do every single part of the process from then, get it closed. We'll send our money to close the deal, and then we'll get the property sold. And when it resells, we split the profits 50-50. There's absolutely no downside for the investor. It's pretty cool because if there's any downside, it would be on me. If we were to lose money, which hasn't happened yet, but if we were to lose money, then that loss is all on me and it's my risk. And obviously there's no like credit checks or qualifications or anything. I don't care if you're a brand new investor. It just doesn't matter. It's just about the deal. So we've had a lot of investors take advantage of that already. I think we're maybe 30 or 40 deals maybe under contract already. And we just launched it about a month ago. So we're really excited about that program. And then we've got Turning Profit, which are podcasts, and we talk, most of the discussion on there is all about land flipping and all of our experiences with it and how to do certain things. We have a lot of fun with that. And then also on my website, turningprofit.com, that's where we do a monthly income report. So each month release an income report, like where we're at with our year to date, with our revenue, our gross profit, how many properties we bought, like all this stuff. And then each month it's like how much revenue we did that month, like what properties we bought, how much we bought those properties for, how much we sold them for, notes on each individual deal. So we try to go in depth to show everyone what it's like what types of things are possible in the land flipping business.
I appreciate the time. It was awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jordan. I really do. Really do appreciate it.